Hey guys, my name is Athena. I'm really excited to get into this topic, but before I do, don't hesitate to leave me a comment down below saying, I subscribed. We love hearing from our community, and we'll do our best to reply to each and every one of you. Now, remember that time you tried to fit into your jeans from high school? Yeah, it was like trying to squeeze a watermelon into a coin purse. You tug, you pull, you jump up and down, but those jeans just won't budge. It's a battle you know you're destined to lose, but you keep trying anyway, hoping for a miracle. Yeah, that's kind of how I felt trying to juggle everything in my life. Imagine trying to keep a dozen plates spinning in the air while riding a unicycle on a tightrope. Sounds impossible, right? Well, that's what my life felt like, an endless circus act where I was the main performer, desperately trying to keep everything from crashing down. Work, family, friends, hobbies. What hobbies? I barely had time to breathe, let alone indulge in something as luxurious as a hobby. My days were a blur of meetings, deadlines, family obligations, and social commitments. It was like being on a never-ending treadmill, running as fast as I could, but never getting anywhere. All crammed into a 24-hour day. Something had to give. I mean, there's only so much you can fit into a single day before you start to feel like a sardine in a can. The clock was my relentless enemy, ticking away the precious minutes and hours, reminding me that time waits for no one. I was the yes person, the friend who never said no, the colleague who always picked up the slack. Sound familiar? I was the go-to person for everyone, the one who could always be counted on to lend a hand, even if it meant sacrificing my own well-being. It was exhausting, but I couldn't help myself. Saying no felt like letting people down, and I just couldn't bear the thought of disappointing anyone. I was running on fumes, fueled by caffeine and the faint hope that I might actually get 8 hours of sleep someday. My mornings started with a giant cup of coffee, and my afternoons were powered by energy drinks. Sleep was a distant dream, something I fantasized about but rarely experienced. I was a walking zombie, barely functioning, but somehow managing to keep going. One day, it hit me, like a ton of bricks. I couldn't keep living like this. Something had to change, and it had to change fast. I was on the brink of a breakdown, teetering on the edge of sanity. It was a wake-up call, a moment of clarity that made me realize I needed to take control of my life before it completely spiraled out of control. I was standing in the grocery store, overwhelmed by the sheer number of cereal options. There I was, staring at an entire aisle dedicated to breakfast cereals, each box promising something different, more fiber, less sugar, extra vitamins. It was too much. My brain couldn't process all the choices, and I felt like I was drowning in a sea of colorful boxes. Seriously, who needs that many choices? Do we really need 50 different types of cereal? It was absurd, and in that moment, it felt like the weight of the world was pressing down on me. I couldn't make a simple decision about breakfast, let alone navigate the complexities of my overburdened life. I had a mini meltdown in the breakfast aisle. Right there, in front of the Frosted Flakes and the Cheerios, I felt the tears welling up. It was the straw that broke the camel's back. I couldn't take it anymore. The stress, the pressure, the constant demands, it was all too much. I needed a change, and I needed it now. That's when I knew something had to change. I couldn't keep living like this, constantly stretched too thin, trying to be everything to everyone. It was time to take a step back, reevaluate my priorities, and start saying no. It was time to put myself first for a change, to find a balance that allowed me to breathe, to live, to enjoy life again. And so, my journey to reclaim my sanity began. The cereal aisle breakdown was my wake-up call. It was like the universe was throwing Cheerios at my head, screaming, "Pay attention." I realized I'd been neglecting myself. My needs, my wants, my sanity, all shoved aside in the name of pleasing everyone else. It was time to reclaim my life. Not in a dramatic quit my job and move to Bali way, although tempting, but in a way that felt authentic and sustainable. Making the decision to prioritize myself wasn't easy. It was a journey that began with a single, hesitant step. I remember standing by the window, looking out at the world, feeling a mix of hope and fear. The idea of putting myself first felt foreign, almost like trying on a new identity. It felt selfish, indulgent even. I wrestled with the guilt of choosing me over others. Society had always painted self-prioritization as a luxury, something only the self-absorbed indulged in. But deep down, I knew it was necessary. Years of conditioning had taught me that putting myself first was, well, not exactly encouraged. I had always been the one to accommodate, to bend, to stretch myself thin for the sake of others. But this constant giving left me feeling empty, drained, and unfulfilled. But something shifted within me. It was a subtle change at first, a quiet whisper that grew louder with each passing day. I began to realize that self-care wasn't selfish. It was essential. It was the foundation upon which I could build a happier, healthier life. I was tired of feeling like a hamster on a wheel, constantly running but going nowhere. The endless cycle of busyness had become suffocating. I was always doing, always moving, but never truly living. I needed to break free from this relentless routine. I craved a life with more meaning, more joy, and a lot less cereal aisle-induced anxiety. I wanted to wake up each day with a sense of purpose, to feel excited about the possibilities that lay ahead. I longed for moments of genuine happiness, untainted by the pressures of perfection. I decided to start small. I knew that drastic changes would be overwhelming, so I began with tiny, manageable steps. I started by carving out a few minutes each day just for myself, moments where I could breathe, reflect, and recharge. No more heroic attempts to be everything to everyone. I let go of the unrealistic expectations I had placed on myself. I accepted that it was okay to not be perfect, to have flaws, and to make mistakes. This acceptance was liberating. I started saying no more, often, setting boundaries, and carving out time for myself. It wasn't easy at first. The guilt and doubt lingered, but with each no, I felt a little more empowered. I began to understand that my well-being was just as important as anyone else's. I rediscovered hobbies that I had long abandoned, activities that brought me joy and peace. Whether it was reading a book, taking a walk in nature, or simply enjoying a quiet cup of tea, these moments became sacred. As I continued on this journey, I noticed a profound change within myself. I felt more balanced, more at peace. The constant rush and anxiety began to fade, replaced by a sense of calm and contentment. Prioritizing myself wasn't just a decision, it was a transformation. And so, I embraced this new chapter of my life with open arms. It was a journey of self-discovery, of learning to love and care for myself in ways I had never imagined. It was a plunge into self-prioritization, and it was the best decision I ever made. Saying no felt awkward at first, like I was speaking a foreign language I'd only half learned. The guilt was real. What would people think? Would they be disappointed? Would they still like me? But here's the thing, the world didn't end. The sky didn't fall. In fact, most people were surprisingly understanding, and those who weren't, well, their opinions were no longer my concern. Remember those hobbies I mentioned earlier? The ones buried under a mountain of obligations? They started to resurface. I dusted off my neglected paintbrushes, dug out my hiking boots, and even attempted a Zumba class. Let's just say I'm better at wielding a paintbrush. The point is, I was reconnecting with parts of myself I'd forgotten existed, and it felt amazing. Me time went from a luxury to a necessity. In today's fast-paced world, where every moment seems to be filled with tasks, responsibilities, and endless to-do lists, carving out time for oneself has become more crucial than ever. It's not just about taking a break. It's about recharging our mental, emotional, and physical batteries. No more guilt trips, no more justifications. We often feel the need to explain why we need a break, but the truth is, we don't owe anyone an explanation. Embracing me time means understanding that our well being is paramount. It's about letting go of the societal pressures that tell us we must always be productive. I scheduled time for myself, just like I would any other important appointment. Long walks in nature, reading a good book, or simply sitting in silence became non negotiable parts of my routine. These activities weren't just hobbies, they were lifelines that kept me grounded and centered. Or simply enjoying a cup of coffee in peace. These moments became sacred. Each sip of coffee, each page turned, each step taken in nature was a reminder that I deserved this time. It was a way to reconnect with myself, to listen to my thoughts, and to find clarity amidst the chaos. I realized that taking care of myself wasn't selfish, it was essential. Self care is often misunderstood as indulgence, but it's far from it. It's about maintaining our health, our sanity, and our happiness. It's about recognizing that we cannot pour from an empty cup. It allowed me to show up as a better, more present version of myself in all areas of my life. When we take the time to care for ourselves, we bring a renewed energy and positivity to our interactions with others. We become more patient, more understanding, and more compassionate, more present version of myself in all areas of my life. The ripple effect of me time is profound. It not only benefits us, but also those around us. By prioritizing our well-being, we set an example for others to do the same. We create a culture of self-care and self-love, where everyone feels empowered to take the time they need to recharge and rejuvenate. That's it, folks. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell to stay updated on our latest content. And always remember, your well-being matters. Until next time, take care and keep prioritizing yourself.